The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
The Dallas Cowboys select Michael Parsons! Woo!
And now, your hosts, Brian Broaddus, Jeff Kavanaugh, Kyle Yeomans, and David Hellman.
It's Thursday, March the 10th. That means it is once again time for another episode of the Draft Show. Hello, I am David Hellman, like the big voice guy said. I'm joined by Brian Broaddus, Jeff Kavanaugh, Kyle Yeomans, coming in hot. Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
49 days?
Yeah, and I know that Kyle's usually our draft counter guy, but Adam Schefter tweeted yesterday that it was 50 days to the
yes,
draft,
that's the only reason why I knew.
That just gave me chills. Kind of like how I said when it was March at the Combine and Dane was sitting right there, and he's like, I just had a chill go down my spine. That's what 49 days just did to me.
Sky Moore vibes, yeah.
It's sneaking up on us. You are determined to say that name within the first minute of every show, and I'm
kind of here for it.
I'll be honest, I kind of hate it, but at this point, we're going to commit to the bit.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk about a few things, but I couldn't help but laugh. So we were having a right after the show on Tuesday, we had a content meeting about just everything that's going to happen over the next month and a half.
We get in trouble?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
The draft show is the best thing going on this platform. Are you kidding me?
I agree. Yeah.
No, we were just
all right.
We were talking about everything we want to do in the build up to the draft, and me and Kyle are sitting here like, all right, there's some good pro days we could go to. What's nearby? What are some schools that have a lot of good players? And we both kind of settled on Oklahoma, and Kyle pulls up like the website where all these dates are listed, and we're like, oh, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
It already happened.
Yeah, it happened yesterday.
Wednesday. Arkansas has happened
Let's
yesterday.
look up Nick Benito. Let's see how he did at Pro Day.
I'm flabbergasted, Brian, and I think I know your answer, but what is going on? We just got done with the Combine on Sunday afternoon, and two pretty big programs have already had their Pro Day. Traylon Burks decided to stand on his Combine 40 time. And at first I was like, well, that's kind of wimpy. And then I realized his pro day was 3 days later. What's the point? How much better can you conceivably get?
Ask the Wisconsin guys.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened at their Pro Day?
I have no clue.
I want to know if they were running downhill, if the 3-cone was a 2-cone.
They all get just mysteriously way better.
So their linebacker, Leo Chenal, if you take the agilities he did at Pro Day with the 40 and the jumps that he did at the Combine, Leo Chenal is the most athletic prospect in the history of linebacker. He ran a 3.94 short shuttle.
So he just blew Micah Parsons out of the water?
Yes.
Wow.
He ran a 6.9 3-cone. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to wait until Dane or Brian or somebody gets numbers from teams.
Yeah.
Because I feel like these are the numbers that Wisconsin was putting out. Hey, our linebacker coach had him at 3.9.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than self-promotion there.
Well,
there's nothing better. No, we'll get those sheets and stuff and kind of get them taken care of.
Is this just all about scheduling? Is that why we're doing this?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do that a lot of these players feel like that they're in the best shape they are right now, and they want to go ahead and they don't want to wait another 2 or 3 weeks to have a pro day. And so because they're worried about, they went through all that at the Combine, but they're feeling like, hey, I'm ready to go. If I had to train anymore, I don't know if I could do it. Might as well get it done, get it out of the way. There's a lot of these teams, though, that are working on the schedules of NFL teams because you don't want to. There was a run there where all these quarterbacks were going on the same day. And the teams were like, listen, no, please help us. Work with each other here. And schedule these days apart. But I think you have a lot of guys that are like, listen, I'm ready to work out right now. I might have had a bad combine. Maybe you want to get that taste out of your mouth if you had a bad combine, that you kind of feel like that you can go and kind of improve on some things. When you're in your own backyard.
See, go ahead.
There's not a ton of big-time pro days coming up over the next couple of days. There's Indiana, Texas, Tulsa, Texas State. Next week, Monday, that Western Michigan has a pro day at some point. I
love that Texas is not a big-time pro day.
Not this year.
No, I know.
When the combine was earlier, March 12th used to be the big day. Like everybody, that was like the day that, like when the combine was over, you waited a couple weeks, and then boom, March 12th was the day that everybody kind of started the combine treks.
Is that a day set in stone normally? Or
it just was funny. It's funny how, like, the league year, when certain things are going to happen or certain things are going to start. Mm-hmm. And it just always seemed like that the biggest pro days were, all of them were on March 12th, and then you worked from there.
See, in my head, I think of it in the opposite of, like, Traylon Burks is a great example. Like, maybe not a terrible 40. I think we talked about this.
He ran two of them, right? Did he go 4.55, 4.50?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes, if you split his times, it's like a 4.52.
Which, again, like, not a terrible 40, but
no.
I'm bringing him up because, like I said, like, how much work can you really do between, like, Saturday
you just
and
want to get it
Wednesday?
done.
So I look at it the opposite way, where it's like, maybe I want 3 weeks to work on whatever I was disappointed in.
Stress. I think the stress. I think these kids just want to get a lot of this done. I think the combine is super stressful now because they put this thing on TV. The one thing about it is the players do have the ability with their phones and stuff to now know their times. There used to be a time where these guys would run 40s, and even the guys down on the other end, the timers, the hand timers, wouldn't tell them what their time was. They were always kind of wondering, nobody had an idea of what they just ran.
Yeah.
So now they know. And that's why you see a guy like with Jordan Davis, like he runs the 140. He runs it in 4.78 or 4.81, whatever you want to call the time. And he's like, and someone calls him on his phone or texts him like, bro, don't run again. Stop. Go do it.
Yeah. The NFL's Twitter account is blasting it all over the internet.
You now know exactly how your workout went. And I think the stress level for these players is so much that they just want to get it over with and then be able to move on. If position coaches want to go roll in there and work them out, that's one of the reasons, the advantages of working at the combine, that if you do have a good combine with the measurable stuff, the timings and things, that you could just beg out and say, nah, if you want to send a receivers coach in here to work me out, I'm all good with that. Or you want to send a running backs coach in, I'm good with that. But the pressure of having to go and try and make up for some of these things is big. You guys need to go to Georgia.
Oh, I know.
Georgia's next Wednesday.
That's what you need to do.
Georgia's high on
Fly
the
into
list.
Atlanta and go do it.
Alabama's on the 30th. That's the other really, really big one.
What day is Alabama? How close is
It's
that?
a Wednesday, so it's
how many days
3
apart?
weeks from yesterday.
Oh.
2 weeks after Georgia.
Okay.
Brian's a sucker. He wants them all to be back-to-back.
That's what I'm saying. I was trying to get you.
You want to rent a car in Athens and drive back to Dallas.
Exactly. That's what I want to do. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go all the way to Athens, and then I want to work my way back. And I'm hopeful that I can hit. Hit Georgia, Alabama, and then maybe LSU, and then roll this thing in.
Jeff, you're self-employed now. How's that sound?
No, sounds awful.
Hey,
yeah.
Auburn's
that kind
Tuesday.
Of money. Everybody subscribe to my YouTube page. I need more money.
You could go Auburn Tuesday. Then you got Georgia on Wednesday.
There you go.
Clemson's Thursday.
There you go.
Kyle's
South
intrigued.
Carolina's Friday.
There you go.
Me and Jeff are
Jeff, you ready?
We'll be here.
I'm telling you,
But
man.
if you want to live stream the whole thing, I swear I'll watch.
I'm sure you
I'll
will.
feel like I was there.
I'll put it on your channel.
It's seriously though. I mean, I remember going a couple of times when you and I went to Texas and Texas A&M that one time and did that thing, and I've been to like the Johnny Manziel ones and things like that. There's things you could get. Dane and I went to Oklahoma to watch Joe Mixon work out.
We watched Connor Williams' entire workout
exactly
a month before he got picked here.
Yeah,
which I can hear the snarky comments already.
It's happening.
Me.
Yeah,
spare me.
They're popping up.
All right, it's something to keep an eye on. They're going to be happening sporadically throughout the next month.
NFL Network puts a lot of them on TV.
Yeah.
All those quarterback ones you'll see. Well, maybe not this class. I don't know.
No, they will, because there's nothing else for
content.
them to do. When the NFL realized that they had a channel where they could throw any meaningless football on in the offseason and get people to watch, it'll be there. I don't want to talk about that for the entire first segment. I had a thought, and it's early. I mean, we talk about everybody. That's the goal, at least. We'll get more into the weeds as the draft gets closer. I assume it feels a little bit repetitive to talk about the first round guys, but there's one position that I would like to get into today that I feel like, of the major ones for the Cowboys, we have paid less attention to. And it's ironic because a lot of people think it's the deepest position in this draft is the edge rushers.
Boo.
Why?
Because they're going to get drafted so quickly that every time
That's actually what I want to talk about.
yeah.
But let me-
every time you want to pick one, you're like, all right, let's take this second round edge in the first. Let's take this third round guy in the second.
Can you? I mean, I think I understand what he's doing here because think about this. It might be the deepest position, but it might have the most questions.
Ooh.
And they go fast.
Well, but you think about that. The questions about Thibodeau, the questions about is really Hutchinson this guy. Karlaftis. And I've seen people pick him all
Jermaine
over the board.
Johnson's one of
Trey
those.
Walker is all of a sudden is Walker now the guy that everybody's going, man, this is the safest guy. This guy's the best. I mean, because they're starting to talk about people saying that Walker over Karlaftis, over Thibodeau, over all these things. I know Dane Brugler's talked about that a bunch, and I wonder if it's the one position. Ajobo is another one of the Michigan kids I always talk about. Jermaine Johnson has been one of those guys that's been a fast riser. It's the position that might have the most, but it might have the most questions of their top guys.
I think the only thing I feel confident about right now is that Aiden Hutchinson will be a top 3 pick. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thibodeau
No.
could be there too.
He could be.
But see,
that's a good point.
But
He
people
could
are
be top
starting.
5 or
People are
top
starting
3.
to ding him for this personality traits and stuff like that. And that's always interesting because, are you trying to drive a guy down? I mean, there's people talking about like the guys that might fall. Him. I mean fall. I'm not talking about all the way down the board. Him, Stingley, another guy from LSU, the corner. I mean, the people are talking. These were guys that were surefire top 3 players or so. And now people are talking about him somewhere between 7 and 12, 7 and 14, something like that.
The inspiration for this talking point was for our draft magazine. They make me do a first round mock, which I'll be honest, I hate because especially in
Dude, I'm going home to do a mock right after this. I love mocks.
They are the worst. No, are you doing a full 32 team mock?
Yeah, but the computer's going to pick the other 30.
Exactly. No.
Here's the other thing about it too is it a full 32 team mock and is it a month in advance and you have it set in stone for everybody to read for the rest of time?
Yeah, it's great.
No, because I will do 13,000 mocks
Exactly.
before this thing
You get a
gets
chance to
here.
do it again.
I'll do them on a simulator.
Your last one should be your best one. Other than that, mess with it.
Deciding what all 32 teams are going to do before free agency opens and having it be in a magazine a month from now is just my favorite.
Give the Cowboys Evan Neal. Just be an optimistic guy.
Yeah. The reason I bring it up is so I'm doing this mock. I'm like, okay, Hutchinson's like he's going number 2. That's just too easy. Thibodeau, I think I'm higher on him than a lot of people are. He's a top 5 pick. And then the rest of this, and like you go around the internet to get inspiration. Like you want to see what other
Beat writers and
knowledgeable
stuff.
people are
Yeah.
saying. Dane is gospel as far as I'm concerned. And like every mock you look at, it's just a completely different situation.
Sure.
Like Dane's got Trevon Walker in the top 6. Somebody else has George Karlaftis in the top 10. Meanwhile, Dane's got Karlaftis like 16. So just help me sort this thing out. I'm fascinated. Do the Cowboys have a chance at a Karlaftis or a Trevon Walker? Or somebody else that I'm not thinking of? David Ajabo. Brian, you're scared of him. Like, give me some direction here. Somebody.
I would say you can't have Aiden Hutchinson. You can't have Kayvon Thibodeau. You can't have Trayvon Walker. The tough part is which one do you put next? You probably can't have Jermaine Johnson because I do think out of my top 6 guys, because those are 4 of the top 6, the other 2 would be George Karlaftis at Purdue and David Ojabo at Michigan.
Yeah.
But those 2, I think, have more physical questions than the other 4, right? Like Hutchinson athletically, stud. Thibodeau, stud. Walker, stud. Jermaine Johnson, good athlete and can play the run and pass rush. Whereas David Ojabo is more, as a rookie, I think, can rush the passer with natural ability, but not a totally well-rounded, going to play 70% of the snaps guy. And Karlaftis is the one of that group that has the short arms, not as athletic as the other guys, but his tape is as good as some of them. So I would say maybe you have a chance at David Ojabo at Michigan or George Karlaftis at Purdue. The other 4, I think, no. And that's why I struggle with this edge class. Sorry, let me assume my power stance. Because I feel like all 6 will be gone.
Before 24?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think then you're going to be looking at a spot. I think offensive tackle and edge are going to go.
White.
go.
Yeah.
And so then when you want to take an edge, you're going to be talking about a guy that I'm going to think is the 50th best player in the draft because it's a premier position and they go quick. And so you'll be at 24 and it's like, hey, who's your best edge? And I'll be like, Inegbare, the South Carolina guy. And it's like, all right, where you got him ranked? And I'm like, oh, he's like the 48th best player in the draft. And that's how pass rush works. So I just can't see a scenario where they're taking an edge at 24 unless George Karlaftis or David Ojabo makes it.
It would take a fall for it to happen because you mentioned those top 6 guys. Those are my top 6 as well. But then there's kind of a drop-off between those first-round talented or first-round quality edge rushers. And then you've got the Myjai Sanders from Cincinnati, Drake Jackson from USC, Nagbare from South Carolina, all kind of in a bunch that's going to work its way toward the second round. But even at 56, it's the same problem because it's a premier position, because the Ebikades from Penn State, they're going to go early too. They may all be top 50 players. The top 10 edge rushers might not even be on the board when you get there when 56 rolls around.
Brian, you kind of went, when you heard Drake Jackson's
Well,
name.
yeah, some of those names, it's kind of like, I don't even want them.
Yeah,
Not even close there.
Let him go.
No. I mean, I'm not saying because of you, because me, just
I
personally.
always count on Jeff to be a little reckless.
No, the thing with Drake
Drake
Jackson.
Jackson, day 3.
That's what I'm saying.
And he'll go 57.
I've got like a third-round grade on him. Sanders the same way. I just weren't. The South Carolina kid, I wasn't really enamored. Inegbare. Yeah. I mean.
You just say the school, and we'll handle the names.
I can't say it. I can't say some of these names. But, I mean, seriously.
Try that UCLA tight end again?
No, that was a disaster.
That was bad for me.
What's his name?
Dulcich.
Dulcich.
I've got like my Invisalign trays in, so that's like a done.
Dulcich.
Brian can't say Dulcich without cussing.
Same. I did the same thing the other day.
I'll say you one thing. He's a really good player, though.
He is a good player.
But that's what I'm saying, though. These I think there's, for as deep as that position is, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions about, and you might have to overdraft some of these guys. And you're going to go, oh, here we go. The minute they don't play well.
I'm going to take Boye Mafe at 24.
I'll tell you what, man.
He's a freak athlete.
He is a freak athlete. He really, really is.
From what school?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I have him as like a third-round guy, and I'm watching people mocking him.
Oh, no, that's
thinking,
what he is.
He could sneak into the first because he's a pass rusher with
and he's a freak.
Like the David Ojabo-ish tools.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, yeah.
Bigger guy.
Super athlete.
Yeah.
I know better than to ask this question because I've covered the draft for a while. But, again, you talk about Karlaftis, maybe short arms, lack of athleticism, the book on Ojabo. Like, anytime somebody brings up Ojabo, that's just that he's raw, that he's limited in what he can do. Is there any chance that those guys don't get overdrafted because there are offensive linemen or receivers that people feel more sure about? Like, is it... And because we fall into this trap every year where we're like, oh, he's gone because he rushes the passer. Maybe is that premature? Is it possible that those guys are hanging around in your range, maybe more so than in other years, because there are questions about them?
Maybe, but it's such a premier thing, and the reason that the hyper athletes are going to be the guys that are going to go off the board quickly is because more and more quarterbacks get the ball out in 2.5 seconds. So if you're going to sack the quarterback, show me in practice that you can do that within 2.3 seconds, and I'll get you on the field. So these twitched up, powerful lower body, bendy dudes, even if they're not complete players on tape, even if they didn't have 8 or 10 sacks in a college football season, you watch that workout and you go, I can get him home. I can't, you show me a 6'5", 275-pound defensive end who's a good run player and who runs a 7.4 3-cone and a 4.8 40, and it's like, I don't know if I can get him home. I can get Boye Mafe home as soon as I teach him how to play.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
That's it.
I know.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I talk about the defensive end position of some of these guys. I think the wide receiver crew some of that a little bit too. Scared about some of these guys. I guarantee you at the end of when we get ready to go to draft, when we all sit down on that Thursday night, right? I guarantee you everybody will have a different list of their top 5 wide receivers. I guarantee you.
I
guarantee you that. Yeah. And the questions you're going to have where I love a guy like Pickens from Georgia, Jeff will love Sky Moore.
Sky Moore's right ahead of George Pickens.
But see, that's what I'm saying, though. Everybody is going to have – I don't think you can find a consensus on this wide receiver class. And because to me, everybody wants to talk about the Olaves and the Wilsons and the Londons and the Minchies. People were asking me about Minchie, and they're like, second round, really? And I'm like, you watched him play? But there's people out there that they do. They do. They all
an issue with drops.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is they
still didn't have a problem throwing to him every single third down.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I mean, you look through this whole draft. I'm starting to learn that maybe these defensive tackles are pretty much maybe that's the best route to go, because with the exception of Lyle from Texas A&M, I think we all kind of understand what Davis is, what Wyatt is. Travis Jones, from UConn, people are kind of talking about him a lot. I think
saw him mocked in the first round the other day.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Dane Brugler yesterday.
Dane?
See,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Mathis. I mean, there's guys maybe that's the one group that you're kind of saying, man, I know what these players are, but you're in these other first round guys. You might not be as really locked in as you need. You're like, oh man, I hope this guy's it. I hope. That's what I'm kind of learning about.
We need to find another pick in this draft, by the way.
You think we're forgetting somebody that?
No, I just think we need to find another pick.
Another pick
between our one and our two.
I thought
we need to find another pick, because I'm looking at my corners and my safeties, and I'm like, what's going to happen in this draft is the guys who you'd love will be gone before your first round pick, and the guys who you'd like will be gone before your second round pick. I need an extra pick to get one of these safeties or corners.
On the radio yesterday, I was trying to get Jacksonville to give me 33.
For what?
For Amari Cooper.
I think that's rich. Actually, we have a question about that.
Well, no, I was trying to flip spots. I was trying to go from 56 to 33. I I was just trying to use him as a move.
Okay.
I wasn't
he's
trying.
Part of a. He's part of it.
Yeah, you're giving Jacksonville your Amari Cooper and your second to go to 33.
We have a question about a potential Amari trade in Twitter on the 20. So let's just take a break and we'll hop into that after we're back.
At Smoothie King, we are blending goodness to fuel your greatness. Every blend is crafted to help you achieve your health and fitness goals. Smoothie King uses only whole fruits and organic veggies. You'll never find sugary syrups or artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. And unlike some other smoothie places, there are 0 grams of added sugar in many of our blends. Smoothie King is proud to be the official smoothie of the Dallas Cowboys. Place your order in the app or online for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Football season is almost over, and that means tax season is here. With it comes taxiety. Filing taxes can be stressful if you choose the wrong partner. Don't let taxiety take over this tax season. Liberty Tax will help you get your largest possible refund or your money back. With more than 12,000 tax professionals nationwide, help is always around the corner. Check out Liberty Tax, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today at libertytax.com/cowboys. Liberty Tax, a brighter way to do taxes.
Hey, Cowboys fans, if you're thinking about attending a game this season, visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today. Stay at the team hotel, have dinner with a Cowboys legend, and experience AT&T Stadium's exclusive VIP Owners Club. Also, tour the Star, get autographs from your favorite players, and talk X's and O's with me, Mickey Spagnola. The official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys will take care of all your travel needs. Visit cowboystravel.com.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Welcome back to the Draft Show. Oh, I'm supposed to have a read here somewhere. I'm a terrible host. Liberty Tax. I've brought up Liberty Tax.
Yeah, it's Liberty Tax. It's tax season. Go get your taxes done by Liberty Tax.
Thank you, Brian.
I need to actually
go
do
figure.
that.
I remember that I've got to do the Twitter on the 20 drop, but not the read. But yeah, Liberty Tax, and also Beam while we're at it, just throw the drop.
Twitter on the 20.
You know what time it is. It's the second segment. We take your questions. I teased it in the first segment because Cade asked the question. He specifically asked about adding an extra 3 for Amari Cooper. But we can take this wherever you want. How would that change your draft strategy? I guess, A, does it make you feel better about, I think what we all agree is something we wouldn't be thrilled about.
Yeah.
And B, I guess, what do you think a realistic way to get something for him?
Yeah.
And Brian, you kind of pitched
we
this, so
we
just go
did we
ahead.
did a segment yesterday about it, and I was just trying to kind of find some spots. Maybe you go some big jumps, some teams that need the Jets. We were talking about Jacksonville. I visited with Jacksonville about Amari Cooper. Anyway, there's teams that are looking at him as a possibility where you do trade for him and then you redo the contract. There's people that don't want to fight for the guy. I mean, they don't want to fight. They don't want him to get released, and then all of a sudden it turns into a fight, and we have to overpay
It's
and
a
all
bidding
that.
war.
Yeah, so the bidding war. They want to avoid that. So I was trying to kind of find some spots, and I think my history of doing this and throwing chum in the water is sometimes you could get people interested if you say, listen, we'll still let you pick in the round. You don't have to give us the pick. Here's the player. Let us come to your spot. So if you want to go up 16
Jacksonville
spots,
falls to 56 and you get 33?
Yeah, you get Amari Cooper. You're still picking in the second, and then here we go. We saw it yesterday with the deal with Carson Wentz. Washington and Indy flop picks in the second round is what they did. So now Indy comes up, Washington goes down. You get the player and all that. So I'm just trying to make it as I'm trying to create an opportunity here, because sometimes you say, hey, we want a 2 for the guy or a 3 for the guy. Teams will balk at that. They're like, no, we're not interested in doing that. But if you say, listen, I'll let you have the player, just let me have the difference in the spots.
That is such a great place to be, though. 33 is like your favorite pick in the draft.
It is. It
Because
absolutely.
you get to hang out on Thursday night and field calls.
It used to be when the draft just kind of went on, you just kind of rolled in. But then the next day, when we have the way television does the draft now, we talk about it day one. Then what do we do to end that first night of the draft? Who are the best players you got available? That's the last thing. You're going to ask Jeff. You're going to ask me. You're going to ask Kyle. You ask Dave, whoever you're going to ask. And you say, well, who do you got left? Well, I still got a first-round guy on the board. I still got, and so teams could reset their board. But I was like, it's funny what Jeff was saying. Think about picking at 24 and then picking again at 33.
I like that.
That to me
really
is
like that a lot.
see that's the thing that he was just talking about, that you can knock out a couple of different positions quick.
Just looking at 56, some names of a couple mock drafts around here. Travis Jones, that's not going to happen. He's going to be early on.
But then let it happen,
It's not going to happen, though. Drake Jackson, we just mentioned him from USC. Cameron Thomas from San Diego State. David Bell, Isaiah Spiller. I know these are all just names
I'm
that
out
I'm looking
on
at.
every person you've named.
Exactly. But then you go up to 33, and you've got Trent McDuffie, Jordan Davis, Jackson Hill, Jaquan Brisker.
See, that's what
George Pickens.
That's what Dane did last night when Jeff and I were on a show on his channel. We talked about that, and I cheerlead. I'm like, Dane, I didn't hear Dax Hill, and then sure enough,
34,
30, right, bam. And so then now I'm thinking, okay, if you could get to Jacksonville's pick, and all of a sudden you knock out, you get, say for Jeff, you get the guard, you get Zion Johnson, and then you turn around and you get my Dax Hill. Now we're having a draft.
How realistic do you think that is?
What, to try and trade?
That your proposed trade.
I'm just trying, man. I'm just doing everything.
You don't think it's realistic?
No. I tried it a couple different spots. I even made a little small move. I went to New England just to try and get up 4 or 5 spots. Go from 24 to 21, kind of a thing. What you want to do is you want to target the teams that have money. Like the Jets, you want to target Jacksonville, teams that have like young quarterbacks that can maybe use a wide receiver that has got some skill.
Okay, I want to go back to the spirit of Cade's question, Jeff. I feel since you want the extra pick so bad,
Yeah, I want all the picks. Yes, thank you.
let's just hypothetically say. I'm just going to throw a pick out there. The number doesn't really matter.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, for the spirit of this exercise, Miami gives you pick 81 for Amari Cooper. So now
that was one of the teams I talked about in the third round.
So yeah,
it's a third round pick.
It's the Michael Gallup pick,
It is.
81.
Yeah.
So you get an extra 3.
Yeah.
You've got 4 picks in the top 100, but you don't have Amari Cooper.
Okay.
How does that change your thought process on what you want to do here? And y'all can answer this too. I mean,
it's just a bonus pick because I think by the time you got to, if you get pick 81, I think by the time you got there, you've already used a pick that is to, quote, replace Amari Cooper. Like, I don't think you're going to get to the 81st pick and not have
that
picked
might
a
be
wide
your
receiver.
that might be if you're thinking about the tight end. might be a spot.
Yeah, that's your Jeremy Ruckert pick, the Ohio State tight end.
If Amari Cooper's not on this team in a week, you basically think it's a lock that either pick 24 or pick 56 as a receiver?
I would lock it in. I think either one of those is where you would go.
Unless you get one of those scenarios where something falls that you weren't expecting, it's like, crap, we got to take him.
That's a good point.
We got to take him.
You always got to keep the draft board open. We've heard that time in, time out. But if you're drafting for need at wide receiver at 24, maybe it's not there. But I think at 56, you're still going to have names that are in that wide receiver class that maybe, like you said, damaged goods previously, or maybe you have a couple question marks on them. That could be where you take that receiver if you don't do
Burks
it
at 24 could be your pick.
Sure.
I mean, if that's the case, now you focus in on the other things. You focus in on maybe that guard. You focus in on maybe the safety. Maybe there might be somebody you like there at one of those spots.
I just think,
depending on what happens at safety, if you can't get all your safeties done.
I mean, there's so many. Again,
there's 3 on the open market.
Maddening trying to put a mock draft together before any of this stuff happens, because we know that the list of needs is going to drastically shift in the next 2 weeks.
All my safeties are going between 24 and 56. I just want you guys to know that. They're all going there.
Even with Amari Cooper and the thought process of trading him for a pick, you would still have to do it within the next couple weeks, right?
You
can't necessarily wait until draft night.
No. You've got to do. Whatever you're going to do with Amari, you've got to do by like March 20th.
I was about to say, like
March 21st.
This next couple weeks,
5th day of the
this
league
week,
year, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Brian and I had a really quiet conversation while you guys were going, and I wonder if we could pull that off on the draft show, where you guys talk, and then Brian and I just kind of sneak some things in.
Just dueling conversation.
No, I'm sorry. That's really disrespectful on my part. I just was curious because
bring it to the class, Brian.
Well, he.
I said all my safeties are going to be gone.
That was fascinating to me.
56.
And I asked, I go, have you seen Brian Cook?
I said,
and he
yes.
goes, yes. And so,
He won't be gone.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, I was thinking, because, see, I've got Brian Cook as a third-round safety. That's why I was kind of gauging where he was at,
Yeah, we could take a third-round safety at 56. Brian Cook at Cincinnati and Kirby Joseph at Illinois. Those are my third-round guys.
Yeah.
Kirby Joseph, not a wonderful combine.
No.
I know we don't necessarily care about that.
I didn't even see his combine. I would assume he didn't run well, and I would assume he didn't jump well.
The numbers were not great.
Let me take a peek at him.
Jamie wants to know, what would a 1-2, our buddy Jamie, Leeds Jamie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What's up, bud?
Our buddies overseas.
What would a 1-2 offensive line double dip look like? Is that even a good idea?
The ideal double dip, I would think, would involve Linderbaum. Because
Linderbaum and a guard.
Yeah, Linderbaum and then a guard.
Just remake the whole thing in 2 picks.
I wonder, would the Cowboys, so like Tyler Linderbaum, the Iowa center in the first, and then Ed Ingram, LSU guard in the second?
Yeah. You could probably talk about Ingram, Kennard. Would they
like Kennard because he's such a big old lumbering man?
You know, I mean,
I like him as an NFL guard, but I think he's a Raven or something.
Flex, I think that would be intriguing.
There's a bunch of big kind of lumbering guys in this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing, I'm interested to see what really is going to happen with Green. You know, he was kind of the
20 and 35.
He was kind of the flavor of the month for everybody.
Do you think his combine, Kenyon Green?
Yeah, Kenyon Green.
You think his combine hurt him that much?
I tell you what, people are questioning the athletic ability, don't you think?
I think it could have flipped him and Zion Johnson for teams.
Yeah.
If you were like me, and everyone's not, because that would be a terrible thing to be. But if you're like me, you really liked both of them. And when one test is an elite athlete and one test's very average,
it's not wrong.
It's not impossible to flip them. I did. Zion Johnson is guard 1 for me now, and Kenyon Green is number 2.
Yeah. You said that more confidently than you did on Tuesday.
Well, you have to sit with these things, you know. Okay. You have to meditate on it.
Dane hit him with a brick
on it.
Yeah, Dane hit me with a brick. Yeah.
Dane said, "You're stupid. Change your."
No,
grade.
But it was a question that we asked last night.
I asked him. I was just like, "Am I wrong?"
And he
to
wasn't.
Do this?
Yeah,
he's like, "No, teams will.
Teams will.
Yeah.
He's not wrong."
Magneto. Kyle, you take this one.
Sorry.
Magneto?
Yeah, Magneto. You weren't here for that.
Oh, yeah, he got a question from Magneto.
Oh, did we? You didn't watch the X-Men as a kid? No. Oh, 'cause you're so
He's
young.
Too young.
No.
He's
you're so young.
I'm sorry.
Young man.
You didn't see the movies?
Nope.
My God.
Didn't even know what a Sentinel
Not
was.
only are you young, but you're not a dork. So good for you.
I'm still a dork, but
that's Magneto.
Got it now.
How do you rank the trio of Treylon Burks, Jamison Williams, and Chris Olave. Stack those tags.
You put them in order already. That was a good question. You put them in order. You did it right.
Honestly,
we all
say
agree
it again.
on that.
Say it again. I was
Treylon Burks, Jamison Williams, Chris Olave.
Yep, that's my 3.
They're in order.
I went with Williams, Burks, Olave is how I went it.
Even with the injury. The injury is the only thing that I'm knocking him on.
I think the kid's going to come back just fine.
I'm okay with that.
I'm not letting an ACL. I
It's 2022. ACLs don't matter.
I think Jamison Williams is one of the most special talents in this class.
Jeff and I, again, these are the conversations you have when you do different podcasts and things like that, is that all of a sudden that all these guys like Jamison Williams and those guys end up in Tampa. All the really good teams.
Just going to the Chiefs.
Seriously, Chiefs. Everybody in the back of the draft, it's like, oh my God, who's on the board? Oh, that Jameson Williams. Like 3 minutes, they hand the card in. They don't even wait. They just hand the card in. That's what I'm saying. There's all these players that were highly touted and they're kind of nicked up a little bit. Now all of a sudden teams are just waiting. Like we were doing a thing again last night. The whole thing about this. Dane was talking about his mock draft, and he goes, and Jeff goes, the Ravens take Jordan Davis. I'm like, of course the Ravens take Jordan. Of course they do. The Ravens always take Jordan Davis. It's every draft. These teams, and just some of these players just automatically, that's a perfect pick for the Ravens. And then Ravens are on the clock. Who they pick? The perfect pick
Perfect
guy.
player.
Yeah.
You think there are teams that overthink this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yes.
You think this is one of them?
With the Ravens or us?
The Cowboys.
The Cowboys that overthink.
I think they've gotten better at this, though.
No, I agree.
Because
I think they're one of the better drafting teams in the
because
league.
they trust their stack. They trust the stack. They're like, listen, we put that guy up there for a reason. It used to not be that way.
Okay, talk to me about this. Is the possibility of starting his career on PUP the only thing pushing Jamison Williams down the board? Because it
might be.
I watched the guy, and I think he's a top 20 player. I'm an idiot, but that's just what I see.
No, you're spot on.
Every
He's a
time
good
the
player.
ball, I mean, you can watch those Alabama. It's amazing about Alabama. You think with a team that's as tough as they are, they put out some receivers in this thing.
Oh, yeah.
They put some guys out. And you watch them play. I mean, seriously, they throw him the ball, and every time, it's just run after catch, run after catch. It's kind of like watching CD, when he was playing Oklahoma. Run after catch, run after catch, run after catch.
I would run that dude on crossers every down.
He's 179 pounds.
What's
him the
quote
ball.
Pushing him down is, have you seen Garrett Wilson play?
Yeah.
Seen Treylon Burks play?
Yeah.
Yep.
You seen Drake London play? Mm-hmm. It's just going to be what order are these receivers going?
That's the problem. That's the problem because not the problem. It's a good thing because I think everybody sees these guys differently, and that's cool. And it's all going to be at the end when we're all watching games in Week 7, and somebody tweets at us and says, "I told Jeff was right about that Sky Moore." That's the kind of stuff.
Oh, Jeff's going to be right about that Sky Moore.
I was just being nice to you.
Okay.
But the thing about it is that's kind of what happens. We see it all the time, don't we?
Absolutely. Well, in the last 2 drafts, and you talked about Alabama receivers, 2 of the first 3 picks 2 of the first 3 tight end or wide receivers rather in the last 2 drafts have been from Alabama. The only guy that has broken that up was Jamar Chase. Yeah. And I mean, Jalen Waddle, you had Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy. Are we as excited, though, about this draft class as we were about those 2 receivers class? Because even with all these guys and the different ice cream flavors that you're going to have with all these wide receivers, I still feel like I'm not as high on these guys as the last 2 drafts.
I don't have a Chase up there.
I don't either.
I don't have a Chase up there. I've got some really good players. I get some really good players, especially with Burks and Wilson. Yep. I think Olave, my love for Olave is immense. But, I mean, I don't have a Chase up there or a CeeDee Lamb. I just don't.
Mike wants us to talk about Dax Hill. We've talked about him before, but specifically talk to me about his versatility. Like how many hats do you think this guy can wear in
2 hats?
A lot of them.
All right. Well,
it's 2 hats.
Go fight.
He can play the nickel corner if you need him to, and he can play safety. I think that's the best thing he has going for him is that he's a very capable go cover the slot and play man coverage. He's very capable, play half the field and come tackle. I think he's a very capable go stand way back there and play free safety.
So that's not 2 hats.
I guess that is 3 hats. He can be a half field safety. He can be a deep safety.
Center field. He can be in the box.
Kyle, talk to me about this because I think Mike is looking, and I think the Cowboys have a great shot at re-signing Jaron Kearse.
Sure.
which is rare. I don't know
Put
how
Dak
many
over
guys
the
I would
top.
say that about. But like,
Are we printing money now up there?
I think
Obviously we are.
I don't feel confident about a lot of guys coming back, but he's one of them that I think will.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, Michigan showed you the hats that Daxton Hill can wear because the games
he
that
did
I
a lot.
watched, if a team has 2 wide receivers, Daxton Hill is a safety. If a team has 3 or more receivers, Daxton Hill plays slot.
That's it.
That's where he goes to.
so he can do a lot of that stuff that we saw from Curse.
Oh, Dan Quinn's going to love
Much
Dax Hill.
smaller version.
He's
Yeah.
a smaller version.
Everybody in the league is a smaller version of J-Ron Curse.
That's a good point. But you also could pair the two together, and you imagine the possibilities that you would have in terms of those two back and forth. Now, the majority of the time, Curse is probably going to be in the box, and he's probably going to cover those big tight ends. But however you want to shift it, I think Dan Quinn's going to have his eye on Hill. He would be one of those guys I would imagine him standing on the table for when draft day comes around. If somehow the Cowboys have a shot at him, I think they would at 24.
Right.
But I think we're talking Brian's scenario of trying to go up to 33, 34, 35 to try and get him in the second.
I'll tell you the thing. In December when I started this journey and I watched this player, I thought
guy you watched.
Thought it was him.
I thought this was Dallas's pick. I went through several guys, all those defensive.
So you don't
ends.
think that's likely anymore? There'll be better value available.
They all of a sudden it became what's happening at guard, what's happening at center, what's happening at wide receiver, what's happening at
In December, it wasn't obvious how much the offensive line was going to fall.
I just thought, I go, man, this guy is not. Jeff's right about he does. He's 6 foot. He's 190 something pounds. The guy's a hell of a football player. I mean, he tackles, he covers. So I was watching him play. I'm thinking that's Dallas's pick at 24, and that was in December.
Real quick before we take our second break, Maurice wants to know. We did a whole segment about tight ends on Tuesday, but we did not talk about Virginia's Jelani Woods. Jeff, I heard you had somewhat of an interesting scouting report.
Wild
ass. The floor.
I have not completely studied him, but I have seen him multiple times, and he's one of my favorite college football players. Because I compare him to, and this isn't going to work because it's a different professional team, but the Mavericks have a young player that every time he's in, it's highly entertaining. Whether the ball goes in, whether he plays good defense, whatever, it's highly entertaining. And Jelani Woods is over 6'7", and I think he's like 240 pounds. Yeah. So it kind of looks like a giraffe running around with a bunch of 6-foot tall people. And so, but the giraffe is very strong and aggressive, but sometimes doesn't look totally coordinated. So if you told me, hey, the 4th round of the draft is starting, maybe even the 5th round, and you're interested in a tight end prospect with a bunch of upside, where it's like, look, watch him catch the ball, and it all looks kind of weird. But, man, does it kind of work. And he's like running through tackles. But it's this guy that is, he's 5 inches over all the people trying to tackle him, and it all just looks incredibly funny. But he's interesting.
Charlie Kohler's that way a little bit for me too.
He's a big guy too, right?
6'7",
lanky.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of whoa, although like is
he gonna fall over?
Yeah,
is he gonna catch a touchdown pass?
but then he's like Jeff's talking about. These guys are 6'7" and they reach up and they're so much taller than everybody else that they make plays. And it's funny how they make plays, and they do it a lot just because of the length.
I was looking up Kohler the other day. Apparently, he's really good off the field too. Like, did a ton of community service at Iowa State. Did a lot of that on-field stuff, of course. But he's got a lot of that complete picture that teams are going to like and maybe try and push him up a little bit. You don't get to hear about that a whole lot. That extra good side of the off-the-field stuff.
Right, at the Cincinnati Bengals, we really don't care about that very much.
Brian's just like, can he play? I don't really care.
I just wanted to throw it out.
He can kick puppies in his free time as long as he can play.
Well,
all right. It
Dave.
was a joke.
All right,
it was
man.
a joke. This is a pro dog podcast. We'll be right back after this.
Football season is almost over, and that means tax season is here. With it comes taxiety. Filing taxes can be stressful if you choose the wrong partner. Don't let taxiety take over this tax season. Liberty Tax will help you get your largest possible refund or your money back. With more than 12,000 tax professionals nationwide, help is always around the corner. Check out Liberty Tax, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today at libertytax.com/Cowboys. Liberty Tax, a brighter way to do taxes.
Hey, Cowboys Cowboys fans, if you're thinking about attending a game this season, visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today. Stay at the team hotel, have dinner with a Cowboys legend, and experience AT&T Stadium's exclusive VIP Owners Club. Also, tour the Star, get autographs from your favorite players, and talk X's and O's with me, Mickey Spagnola. The official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys will take care of all your travel needs. Visit cowboystravel.com.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, sinking, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
This is Chad Hennings, former cowboy and proud veteran of the United States Air Force. When my fellow military veterans choose VA, they receive life-changing benefits from the Department of Veterans Affairs. If you are a veteran, you may be eligible for healthcare, education, and training benefits, a home loan guarantee, housing assistance, and more. Choose VA for the benefits you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov to learn more. That's choose.va.gov.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United presented by Globe Life starting at just $20. Join now and get your fan pack, exclusive benefits, and more. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United for details and to join today.
Did you have Bill Jones voice?
I like to try to do the reads in my my
host voice,
my showman voice, my salesman.
You sounded
voice.
very Bill Jones there.
Hey, welcome Sunday.
Yeah.
We're gonna see Bill later today, right, Kyle?
Yep. Yeah. We've got
Cowboys Blitz coming up. You missed doing the Blitz, Brian?
Is it the draft version of it where we start breaking down guys?
I do the draft segment usually, and we'll
you stand up
on.
at the
oh yeah
telestrator.
Oh, I
brought
a tie. Brought a tie to work and everything.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Is
great.
this like the coat and tie that you used to keep in your closet?
I still do, yeah.
With your
I'm not gonna. I mean,
I think all of us up there have.
Is that with the nacho cheese sauce stuff up there too?
That's at home. My Rico's.
You don't have the pickled jalapenos just sitting up there with your tie?
The Rico's cheese and the pickled jalapenos.
I miss you doing those Rico's things.
Ask the boys.
Oh God, that was funny.
All right, we went long.
Why did we miss? Why did we get rid of that?
We didn't. It's still around.
Is
it's
it?
Just,
the one I did
watching.
with the one we did. I come on, Beam. I watch every once in a while.
The draft one.
The one with you, the one where you were the with a detective.
Oh,
that was one of my.
We got nominated for a local Emmy for that.
Did we?
I was really disappointed that we didn't win. I wanted to get one for Caden Gates. He put so much work into that.
That was a great one.
Our listeners do not care about this. No, but I wanted to continue.
It's our show.
I want to do a couple.
What's up now, listeners? You think you matter?
I want to do a couple
about us?
Things in the last few minutes.
You proved that.
Yeah.
I hate y'all.
Check out my YouTube page.
Exactly.
Look, Kyle.
I'm just watching.
I took over hosting this year and
having fun.
I respect you regardless, but I have a new level of respect for wrangling these two monsters.
Dave has regrets.
And last year it was even more. Last year was Dane
nuts.
and Bucky and KT on top.
And it was a different crew every time, and I couldn't remember what we talked about each week.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Fun.
Kudos to you, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Talk to me about, and this is tricky because it's edge rusher and these guys get overdrafted. I get it. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about day 2 guys at that position. We went over some of these names, the Minnesota kid, Drake Jackson. Just talk me through some of these guys that maybe you like and maybe you don't like, just to give me a clearer idea of what we're looking at this position.
Gosh, I think it's tough because I think I'm probably lower on a lot of these guys than where they're going to get drafted. So, like Penn State's Ebiketie. Mm-hmm. Maybe he sneaks Ebiketie. Maybe he sneaks into the first round.
Just say the team school.
I'm a Penn State guy.
Leave the name to this side of the
There's
table.
a Penn State guy that's one of those stand-up, good athlete, pass rushers that to me it's like, sure, I'd pick him maybe at 56, and he'll go at like 35. And Enigbare, the South Carolina defensive end, would I take him at 56? Maybe. He'll go before that. And then you get down to
Myjai.
You mentioned him earlier.
Myjai Sanders.
Myjai Sanders. It's almost like the J's on the feet is how he explained it to me.
He's 228 pounds and 6'5". Like he's like a smaller version and less athletic Randy Gregory.
Yeah.
And apparently that is a day 2 edge. And I'm watching the day 2 guys and I'm like, oh gosh, I just don't trust any of these.
I was a little surprised. I thought his athleticism was there to a certain extent, but you're right. Less athletic than a Randy Gregory, but he's still a guy who could develop into a role very similar to that. And you saw it in Senior Bowl in Mobile. You saw it a little bit in the Combine, but his tape is really where I like Myjai a lot. And by saying a lot, I mean 56 would be right where I would pick him, honestly. I don't think he's a first-round guy. I don't think he's an early second. He's that middle of the second, maybe back half, but he's a good player.
I mean, what's amazing about him is he's a 228-pound player.
Yeah.
And you actually see him play pretty strong, which, because of the length and things like that. I mean, it's, you don't see him because you worry about bulk sometimes with defensive ends, but you don't see him get knocked off the line all that much. I was pretty impressed with him by that. I'm like, God, this guy's super thin. But the thing that kind of struck me a little bit about him in a kind of a negative way is that, when you look at him in those situations of having to play the run and the way he's able to get off, I think the thing I really, really like about him, though, is how fast he is. This guy can really cover some ground. I mean, when you're talking about running and chasing and things like that, I mean, he can make it happen rushing the passer because you don't see him get really deep. Sometimes these lighter guys run so fast and so far up the field they can't get back to get in on the quarterback. This kid has a pretty good feel of how to get to that level in the pocket where the quarterback is. So I'm interested, but man, some people will probably not like the fact that he's 228 pounds.
Yeah. He's got that quick.
That'll be a problem.
He's got that quick first step too. I like his get off. I like the first step. He's got that short area quickness. But like you said, if he's relying on his strength and his power, he's not going to get blown off the ball, but he's also not going to blow anybody off the ball.
It's funny in my notes, and I don't have a date when I did this about Mafe from Minnesota. The last line I typed in my notes was, I don't know why folks are not talking about him more.
Which, to be very honest,
and I know
today's the first time I've heard the guy's name.
Yeah,
that's on me.
Seriously, and I'm I said, hey, he plays. I go, this he generally plays the open or weak side of the formation, so he doesn't have somebody always in his face. But man, you watch him run and burst and close. I mean, there's all these things. He could finish, he could tackle. He makes a lot of plays when he has to run guys down from the backside, and that's playing on the open side. He could just fly to the ball. And I said in his hands, he wasn't going to let blockers get in on him. So again, I did this report, my notes a while back on him, and I just didn't know why we weren't talking to him. I'm glad to see that people are kind of the testing. Obviously, this was before the Combine because the testing numbers came in really, really big, and people are now, I guess, are talking about him as a potential first-round guy. I have him in the second round myself. I didn't have him as a first-round guy.
I think the reason why I'm harping on this, and it's obviously impossible to predict, but we know what's going on with Amari. We know receiver is an issue here. We know tight end. We know all about the offensive line. But, defensive end, edge rush
sneaky
stands to be terrifying.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't know what they're going to do with Tank. It certainly there's
Armstrong.
There's a contract dispute there. Armstrong, I think, much like Dalton Schultz before he got tagged, Cedric Wilson for that matter, I think Dorrance Armstrong is going to get a deal that kind of
showed more consistency. Yeah. He used to be a guy that would play one game and then he would be gone for 3. He played a lot better, more consistently, I think.
He only had one fewer sack than Randy, for all we talk about Randy, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
And then there's Randy, who I think the Cowboys are optimistic about what'll happen, but they can't tag him, so he's going to hit free agency, and then who the hell knows what happens. And so you could be sitting here in a week and a half with DeMarcus Lawrence, who they're in a contract dispute with, and like Terrell Basham, and not a whole lot else. So, do you feel good about the prospect of addressing this with a meaningful pick this year?
I think either way, you're going to leave out a position. I mean, you could look at your first 2 picks and you're going to say, hey, we need a wide receiver, right? Because of what's happening with Amari.
Yeah.
We need an offensive lineman in the interior to reboot what's going on there. At some point, something will be left out. Edge rusher will be left out. Interior offensive line is going to be left out. Wide receiver is going to be left out. Now it's up to you to basically, it's the opposite of what the good problem has been the last couple of years of you've addressed these. Now you can attack your board best player available. Now you have so many holes. You have to address best player available because that's how you fill those holes the right way.
See, you paint to me a very dangerous situation with what you talked about with these defensive ends, because when this team has gotten in trouble, it's because they've tried to force some picks.
Yeah,
and this is where I have this with the Ajobo thing. I just in my mind, could he be a great player? Yeah, he's just not very. He hasn't had a lot of reps at it. He's got the physical traits and the characteristics and everything you like, just not a lot of time at task. And so now I worry about them saying, well, man, we've got to have a defensive end. Say it does fall apart. Say things with Tank falls apart. Say things with Randy doesn't get completely done like it needs to be. Now you're in a situation where you're going, well, who are our defensive ends? And then it turns into you have to draft a guy like Taco or somebody like that, or not Taco, but our other guy from Michigan that the Cowboys picked.
Taco.
No,
Taco.
it was Taco.
I was Taco.
Yeah,
I was thinking
right.
I was thinking Hill though, but Taco was
Tristan,
Tristan Hill was another, but he was a defensive tackle. But the same thing. The same thing where you're like, man, they're forced to have to go try and take this. And where they've been really good the last couple of years, especially in the first round, is just taking the best player on their board. And that scares me a little bit right now, especially about a player that I know I have some questions about.
Yeah, and I'm sure they would say Micah Parsons is a piece of that puzzle. I don't think they're going to move him full-time to defensive end, but he obviously provides pass rush. Still not enough to make me feel great about that.
No.
You gotta come to some sort of
They're going to sell us on Golston and people like that. They're going to try. I mean, Golston's a good player. I just think he started off pretty well and then kind of faded on him a little bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's a rookie. I think for all the good that he did, I think Osa had a very similar rookie year. Yeah. If you go look at his production weeks 1 to 6 versus the rest of the season, it happens. Yeah. I just think I'm terrified about what it might make them do in the draft if Tank or Randy is gone, especially if both of them are some reason gone. Like if they're not in the plans for 2022, I think it leads to you doing something reckless. And
it'd be time to tank at that point.
That's not going to happen. I would feel a hell of a lot better if you told me Karlaftis could be there at 24.
That would help.
That seems like the most realistic scenario.
Man, I'll tell you what. I mean, you're starting to see him anywhere between 16 and 30. He's one of there's several guys. Green's that way. I mean, there's a lot. The Cowboys, it's going to sound, and I don't mean this in any bad way, but the player that they probably take is going to have some deficiencies to their game. They're going to be good players, really good players, I think, but there's going to be something that's going to put them at that spot. Like we look at the linebacker, okay, the kid from Georgia, he's short, he's 5'11". You look at Lloyd, he didn't run particularly well, but you watch the tape and he runs really well. I mean, I love both those players. The center, we've talked, Jeff and I and Dane last night were talking about, I've never seen a player like Linderbaum that has more deficiencies to his game that plays as well as he does. He's short-armed, he's a small guy, height-wise, and he's not very big weight-wise. But he makes it work. There's going to be somebody that has some flaw. Karlaftis could be the situation with the arms. Like the arm length and stuff like that. That could be a problem. Or athletic ability. But these are really, really good players.
And if you're taking him at 24 and then you want to address where do you go next? That's the other thing. Is that it goes
might be
back
wide
to my
receiver.
initial point. You go wide receiver, so then where do you go offensive line?
Oof. Yeah.
Well, that's when all of a sudden you need to watch all these guys that are playing like tackle right now. The Ohio State's guy and UCLA and all that. Those are all your third-round guys.
Those third-round guys that you can maybe swing over.
Yep.
And
Cade Mays could be in that conversation out of Tennessee.
I'm not going to sell anybody that they will be exciting names, but they will add guys. They always do. This conversation is going to change here. Probably not over the next week because the Cowboys don't dip into the expensive part of free agency.
Sure.
But here in 2-3 weeks, we will have a better idea of like what they don't think they need versus what they do think they need.
I feel like by next Thursday we might have a decent idea.
By next Thursday, we will know what's going on with a lot of their guys.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But in terms of bringing in outside talent, I think the wait goes a little bit longer.
A lot longer, yeah.
We'll see. We're just slowly marching our way through the draft process. That does it for this week. Jeff, you want to bring up Sky Moore? Just keep this trend alive.
24 for Sky Moore.
I think half of our listeners are going to hate this bit, and the other half are going to love it.
Can I say one thing real quick before we leave?
24. Zion for Brian.
There you go.
He doesn't like Zion, though.
No, I mean, I haven't. Yeah, I have a couple guys right
Go
there.
ahead. You got the last word.
The thing about it is, if you're doing mock drafts and you're sending them to us, just don't do it because we're talking about the guys that we like them. Do them because you like them. Do them where you think this thing. Because I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts that kind of mirror what we're talking about.
Sky Moore in there?
That's what I'm saying.
Sky Moore in there.
And I'm saying the same thing too. There's a lot. If when you're doing these mock drafts, you're going to send them to me, and you think I'm going to say, "Oh, that's a great mock draft." I'm probably going to point out something that you missed or something like that. So I'm just giving you guys a little heads up.
You're a tastemaker, Brian. That's just all there is to it.
Pick all the guys I like, and I'll tell you did good.
Yeah, you don't even look at the mock drafts. What are you talking about? You get tagged.
I want Brian to respond.
You get tagged and all those.
We've got millions more mock drafts to do. We've got...
Do your own mock draft.
Lord knows how many episodes of the draft show left, but that concludes another week of this coverage. We appreciate you listening. For Kyle, Brian, Jeff, I'm Dave. We'll be back next week. Thanks a lot.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!